So here the Devatas are praying further to Brahmaji, and they are offering their obeisances to the chief personality who has given the Vedic literature. So we know in the material world the chief personality is Brahma, and Brahma himself receives this Vedic knowledge from the Supreme Lord. So in that sense the chief personality, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Devatas are explaining here that all the living entities, they are within this universe, they are conducted by the directions of the Vedas. The example is given just like when a bull is there. In the bull, the nose is pierced and the rope is attached to that hole. So what happens is, when the rope is stretched or it is pulled according to the driver, as the driver wants, he can take the bull accordingly. This is very important. You see, because the bull has no idea where to go, but the driver, according to the rope, he can stretch it here and there, which direction he has to go. So the bull can accordingly proceed as per the direction given by the driver. Similarly, all the living entities actually in the material world, we should follow the directions as given in the Vedas, just like the bull follows the direction of the driver. That is the simile given here. Then we can achieve perfection in our life. So, Prabhupada is explaining why this is important is because the directions given by the Vedic literature is the direction given by the Supreme Lord. Because the Vedas are not some man-made creation. The Vedas are the direction given by the Supreme Lord. And they are particularly given for particular, it gives directions, the Vedic literature gives directions according to time, place and circumstances. Just like even though in the Vedic literature there are chapters on Karma Kanda, there are chapters on Jnana Kanda, Upasana Kanda, then there is pure devotional service. So according to the candidate, according to the person's inclination, according to the person's nature, according to the person's desires, different directions are given. And the idea is gradually that by following these different directions, gradually one can be elevated to perfection of life. That is the idea. So, this example is given here is of the bull. Prabhupada gives another very beautiful example. Prabhupada says, in India, there is a tree. It is called sagu tree. So this tree, even though it has very thick trunk, but this tree does not have so much strength. If you just push it little hard, this tree will break. So even though the trunk is very huge, but it has no strength to withstand. So Prabhupada says, suppose if you are falling down from the tree and if you catch hold of this trunk, then you will not be saved. So with the push of your body weight itself, this trunk will break down and you will fall and you will hurt yourself. Whereas another example is there, that there is another tree called tamarind tree. The tamarind tree, even a small and very thin stem, even if you bend it, it will not break. So Prabhupada gives this example, that actually the Vedic literatures, they are like that tamarind stem. So when a person is falling down from the tree, he should not take shelter of sagu tree. He should better take shelter of even a tamarind stem, because even a tamarind stem can save him. If he latches on even to one stem of tamarind tree, he can be saved. Whereas even if he latches on to the trunk of a huge sagu tree, he will not be saved. So this is the example given. That Vedic literatures are so perfect that even from any direction, even gradually by following the Karma Kanda portion, gradually the person will be elevated, and then he can also achieve perfection. There are different varnas, there are different ashramas, and different directions may be there. Brahmachari has to follow certain prescribed rules and regulations, Grahastha has to follow certain different rules and regulations, Vanaprastha has different rules and regulations, Brahmana has different rules and regulations, Sannyasi. So like that, different varnas and different ashramas, different rules and regulations are there, but all of them are meant to gradually move a person to spiritual perfection of life. That is the idea. So, that is the meaning of the Vedic literature. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita very important concept. Krishna explains there are two ways of actions. One action is called whimsical. Another action is called Shastra Vidhi. So people who are of demoniac nature, they don't want to consult Shastra. They don't want to follow the directions. Vidhi means directions. Rules and regulation is called Vidhi. Shastra Vidhi means the rules and regulations, the direction given by the Shastras. In fact, this word Shastra itself comes from Shash Dhatu, means to rule. The word Shishya also comes from the same Shash Dhatu. One who abides by rule is called Shishya. One which gives rules and regulation, which we should follow, is called Shastra. So, Shastra, one should abide by the rules given in the Vedic literature. Those who do not abide by that, Krishna categorizes them as asuras. So Krishna says, these people who are asuric, they don't want to follow the vidhis given in the Shastra. Yah Shastra vidhi utsrajya. Utsrajya means they give up. They don't want to follow the directions given by the Shastra. Shastra vidhi means the directions, rules and regulations prescribed by Shastras. Then what do? Rather, they follow their whims. And what is that whims? What does it mean? Whimsical means actually he is in the grip of three modes of material nature. If one does not follow the direction given by God as given in the Shastras, one will be forced to follow the direction of Maya. There are only two ways. Either you follow state laws or you will fall under criminal laws. Very simple. So when we are following state laws, we can enjoy the facilities given by the state. If we don't follow state laws, then we come under another category, criminal law. then immediately we are called criminals. So, similarly, the Shastras are the laws given by God. Why does the Lord give this Vedic literature? Why it is required? Because the Lord is very merciful to the living entities. Even though the living entities, they want to enjoy independent of God. If the Lord, actually the Lord gives this facility, this material world is a facility for the living entity to enjoy independent of God. Suppose, let us say, that Lord had not given the Shastras, what would be the result? Let us say, consider in that example. The Lord had allowed, okay, I am fulfilling your desire, go to the material world and try to be independent Lord. Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, perpetually, life after life after life, we would simply rotate and rot in the cycle of birth and death. Not only we will rotate in the cycle of birth and death, we will fall down to demoniac species of life where our sufferings will be many, many folds. This Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita. So, Vedic literatures are given so that we can satisfy our desire of enjoyment and at the same time gradually become purified of that faulty desire and gradually achieve perfection. Prabhupada is giving the example here, very beautiful example. Anyone remembers what is the example Prabhupada is giving? Salt. What is the example of salt, Vyas Maharishi? Yes. So, Prabhupada is saying here, the conditioned souls who have come to the material world for material sense gratification are regulated by the injunctions of the Vedic literature. We have actually come here for material enjoyment, but still the Lord has given us this Vedic literature to regulate our material enjoyment. Regulate, Prabhupada is giving the example, is just like the salt. You see, the salt you cannot take more. It will be miserable. You will throw off all the food. You will not be able to enjoy that food. And if you don't add salt, still the food will not be proper. You will not be able to take it. So, there is a regulation. When the material body is given, that little fulfilling of the desires has to be done. But if it is done according to the Vedic literature, then we will purify. Just like, say for example, we are not Paramahamsas, we will not think that, okay, eating is sense gratification. Why should I eat? So, okay, let me give it up. So that is not possible because we are conditioned. That is what we have to accept. Conditioned soul means there are certain conditions under which he is put. He can survive only under certain conditions. You have to eat, you have to sleep, everything is required. Isn't it? But when we do it in a regulated way, then we can get out. In pure Krishna conscious life, when the soul is free from conditioning, there is no sleep. We don't require to sleep. Isn't it? When we are free from conditioned life, we don't have to eat like this. We don't have to be dependent on eating, sleeping, mating, defense. These are all conditional life. But when we are conditioned, we have to do regulation in these things. So that is what example Prabhupada is giving. Proper amount of salt, if it is added, your dish will be tasty, it will be nutritious, it will give energy to the body, isn't it? Similarly, sense gratification, the living entities have come in the material world for sense gratification. If it is done as directed by the Vedic literature, it's like Krishna himself is saying in Bhagavad Gita, Dharma aviruddho kamosmi. Kama, the desires, if they are satisfied according to dharma, then it is me. It is not against the Vedic principle. Isn't it? So what happens by that is, we will become purified gradually. So, this is the example Prabhupada is giving here. The conditioned souls who have come to this material world for material sense gratification are regulated by the injunctions of the Vedic literature. Sense gratification is just like salt. One cannot take too much or too little, but one must take some salt in order to make one's foodstuff palatable. Those conditioned souls who have come to this material world should utilize their senses according to the directions of the Vedic literature. Otherwise, they will be put in a more miserable condition of life. This is very important. Actually, your desire for enjoyment also will not be fulfilled. You have come to fulfill your desire, I want to enjoy. Krishna wants to satisfy that desire. Even to satisfy that desire, the Lord has to give Vedas. You see? Krishna wants to see you enjoy. And let us say he leaves you just like that. Okay, you enjoy in your own way. What will be the result? You will be placed in more miserable condition rather than enjoyment. So even to satisfy our desire, the Lord has to give the Vedic literature. And the Vedic literature are given in such a way, your desire will be satisfied and you will be purified. Both way it is going to happen. See? So this is the importance of the Vedas. Now demoniac people, that is why what happens? That is what Krishna is saying in Bhagavad Gita. Demoniac people want to satisfy their desires without taking help of the Vedas. What will be the result? What is the result Krishna says? 16th chapter Krishna explains, those who want to satisfy their desires without consulting the Vedic literature, what will be the result? Yes. Krishna says, perpetually, without mercy, they will be cast into demoniac species of life, and Krishna is saying practically there is no way out for them. You see, Krishna says, I cast them into the lowest species of life, practically they have no escape at all. See, this is what is going to happen. Just imagine, if somebody does not want to consult the Vedic literature and follow the life, the result will be life after life, he will rot in demoniac species of life, hellish species of life. And from those lives we can understand, let us say life after life we go into dog and cats and such kind of demoniac species if we go into, where is the escape? Where is the escape from this cycle of birth and death? There is no escape. So what happens is, such people who do not follow the directions of the Vedas, they follow the directions of their whimsical understanding. Whims. And whims means what? Krishna explains what is whims. Whims means follow the force of three modes of material nature. That also is not independent. He is still slave, but he will become slave of lust, he will become slave of anger, he will become slave of greed. And he will follow these directions. Direction given by lust, direction given by anger, direction given by greed. And then what happens? If we follow the direction given by them, rather than following the direction given by Vedas, it is a gateway to hell. Krishna says, these are the 3 gateways to hellish life. So, demoniac people, what do they choose? They choose to follow direction of lust, greed and anger. They don't choose to follow the direction of Shastra Vidhi. It's a very beautiful explanation in 16th chapter. Who are these people who are called demoniac? It is not that they are having some 2 horns or something like that. Very simple definition Krishna says. Those who are whimsical, those who follow the directions given by lust, greed and anger, they are demoniac people. They give up Shastra Vidhin and they take to whimsical Swavidhim or whimsical of their own. They invent. Whimsical means they invent their own ways. You see. So what does Krishna say? They cannot even get material happiness. Forget about Param Gatim. Those who do not follow Shastra Vidhin, even in the material world they cannot be happy. No question of Param Gatim. It's a very beautiful verses there. Before that, Krishna explains, there are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger and greed. So Prabhupada explains elsewhere that how it all begins with these desires, lust. So when we try to satisfy this lust, generally it doesn't get satisfied. Then what happens? We get frustrated, anger comes. And let us say material nature arranges for some of our desires to get satisfied. Then what happens? It doesn't get satisfied. We become more and more greedy. So from this, lust, anger and greed develops. And further, with greed, moha, we become illusioned. And then mada, maddened, matsarya, enviousness. All these are demoniac qualities. So one from another, it leads to demoniac life. So Krishna is saying, every sane man should be beware of not getting directed by lust, greed and anger. So what is our option then? Follow the option given by the Vedas. Just follow. Don't get carried away by your anger and then act. Don't get carried away by your lusty desires and act. Don't get carried away by your greedy desires and act. Act as given in the Vedas. Just follow the direction of the Vedas. Just put in your nostril the string of the Vedic literature's direction and then get pulled like that. So, in the next shloka, Krishna explains very beautifully. Yah shastra vidhim utsrajya vartate kam karataha nasa siddhim avapnoti na sukham na paramgatim. There is no siddhim for him, no sukham for him, and no paramgatim. 3 things he does not get. He does not get perfection of human life. He does not get any material happiness also, sukham, paramgatim. Forget about getting spiritual perfection of life. He who discards scriptural injunction and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination. So this is what happens to a person who gives up Shastra Vidhim. And before that, Krishna explained what happens to the person who follows these 3 gates way to hell. Krishna says, those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are cast by me into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life. Attaining repeated birth amongst the species of demoniac life, such persons can never approach me. gradually they sink down to the most abominable type of existence. Because without being purified, no question of approaching God. So once a person is into demoniac species of life and repeated, Krishna is saying, of attaining repeated birth among species of demoniac life, such person can never approach me. Just imagine what happens to a person who is directed by lust, anger and greed. There is practically no escape for him. There is no way that he can approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Happens like that. Then the question arises is that okay, the Vedic literatures are there. There are so many directions given in the Vedic literature. Which direction we have to follow? How to follow? Sometimes we find contradictory directions also may be given. Sometimes we find it is given that you can eat meat under certain conditions. And certain portions of the Vedas also says, no, don't eat. So how do we understand all those things? That is also very important. So Prabhupada says, that is why Acharya is required to understand the Vedic literature. The Vedic literatures have to be followed under the direction of the spiritual master, Acharya. And these three, Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, actually there is no contradiction. So their direction has to be followed. Guru will never give directions opposite to what is given in the Vedic literature. He follows what is given by the Vedic literature, and as he gets it in parampara through previous acharyas. So Guru, Sadhu means the previous acharyas, and Shastra is the Vedic direction. He gives Vedic direction according to what he has received in the parampara through previous acharyas. So they will never contradict each other. We have to follow by that. So Prabhupada very beautifully explains about that. I'll just read that, after that we can. Everything should be done according to Shastra, and Shastra should be guided by the Acharya, Guru. Acharya means one who knows what is there in the Shastra. He practices in his life and teaches the disciple. He is called Acharya. So Acharya means he knows what is there, he is practicing and he is teaching. This is the Acharya. He practices in his life and teaches the disciple. He is called Acharya. Acharya is not a whimsical thing. He must know. See. Tad vijnanartham sa gurum eva vigachet. Gurum kritva. In order to do things very rightly, just like if you are going to the court to file some suit, do it very nicely. You have to appoint a very good lawyer. You see? Just like if you want to file some suit, if you want to file some case, then we have to appoint a very good lawyer, because the lawyer will know what is the law. Similarly, if we want to conduct our life properly in this material world and go back to Godhead, then we have to approach a spiritual master. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Tad vijnanartham sa gurum evabhikachet. Similarly, this Vedic principle, the Vedic ritual, they should be performed under the direction of Acharya, not whimsically. Another very beautiful example Prabhupada says about how the Vedic literature should be understood. The medicine should be taken as directed by the physician. You should not manufacture your own way of doses. Now, if we say Shastra Vidhi, not that to understand Shastra, then we understand it in our own way, by our own mental speculation. That is not the idea. Prabhupada is saying it should be, the medicine should be taken as prescribed by a physician, not whimsically, our own dose we will take. Prabhupada very beautifully gives the example. Suppose physician says, you take 5 drops of this medicine, mix with water and take it. You have to follow. If you say, no, let me be cured immediately, let me take 100 drops or 1 drop, no, that will not help you. Similarly, you should read Bhagavad Gita as it is prescribed by the physician, then you will benefit. So Shastras also have to be taken according to the directions given by the Lord Himself, given by the Acharyas, who knows the direction given by the Supreme Lord. That is how we have to take. So that is the importance of following the Vedic literature, Shastra Vidhi, that if we follow according to the direction given by the spiritual master, then we can attain perfection in our life. So we'll stop with this. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.